All right. So, what we're going to be working on today is an app that I've been wanting to build for quite some time. It is a viewer game app, and it's basically an app before like other bots and stuff started doing this viewer game stuff inside of their bots. There wasn't really an easy way to manage viewer games, right? And I used to do like a lot of League of Legends viewer games, and then I would always have a hard time picking new people while other people were waiting. So what I wanted to do is create a queue, and I had made an app for this on my old Ruby on Rails app, but I never really finished it. There was a couple bugs, and I never really got to it and never really finished it. But I want to actually, so that was basically for myself, but what I want to do is actually release this out to the public and then integrate this with Twitch subscribers, maybe channel points if there's an API for that, and like do a little bit more with the viewer game spectrum, because I think there's not enough people leveraging viewer games as a medium for streamers to, well, create a community that is pretty thriving and like alive. So I have some high hopes that this app would actually help some streamers out. Very curious if this is gonna work, but for now it's also a good learning opportunity, and also for both me coding wise, because I'm using Elixir and I don't really have that much experience with it, and also having a hard time releasing something. I think this will force me to take some shortcuts instead of like trying to do things right from the start, and allowing me to make mistakes, and allowing me to, even though I've released like maybe some shitty code, we can still go live and we can still publish. And so I wrote some documentation on how I want to approach this. And it's not open source yet. I don't know if I want to open source it, because I want to just have an app that people like sign up to and whatever. But yeah, I don't know. But then again, I know some people that have built using an open source code base. They've still built like some sort of, I don't want to like build a business around it, but I want my app to be successful. And like, I don't know if with just being open source I can do that, but we'll need to see. I think there's plenty of open source projects that have become successful. So what was I gonna show? I wanted to show something. Oh yeah, so let me switch to this branch. So I created a document regarding like my initial take on the DB, just to show you guys what I have in mind. So I have in mind a table for games. So for now it's focused on League of Legends because it's for me the easiest, and I kind of know a little bit about the Riot Games API, even though they changed a lot. Wait, what is this? Wait, I think I copy pasted this, so this is actually wrong. Basically, a game can be League of Legends, CSGO, whatever, you know, that we want here. This is actually, I need to fix this. I think I copy pasted it from somewhere else, because it says the ID of the queue as well. So a game can just have a title, it has an ID, it has a created at and updated at, and that's pretty much it. That's basically from my side, the admin panel, just creating games, and people can create viewer games for those games, and we need to integrate with those third parties. That's why we first start with League of Legends, because, well, we integrate one at a time. So from the code, I kind of want to write some adapters, so like a fixed system, but then adapters for every game. That's basically what I want. So basically plugins on top of the app that we have. So we have the concept of a broadcaster, and we have the concept of a player. And a broadcaster is also at the same time a player, meaning that they will use the same table in the DB. And I'm not entirely sure yet how I want to structure this. But I started building This branch is all for implementing Twitch auth, which I've already done. I'll show you guys in a little bit. But basically, a player has a display name because you log in with your Twitch account, and then that player has a display name. So that's basically just your user. The player has a provider and a provider entity ID. So the provider is basically how did the user sign in. So basically for now, that's just going to be Twitch always, because you sign in here, you can log in with Twitch and it will sign you up, create a user for you. So this will always be Twitch for now, but in the future, maybe we can integrate with Mixer and YouTube gaming and all these things. But for now, let's just keep it to Twitch. The provider entity ID is basically the entity of that provider. So on Twitch, it will probably be the Twitch user ID. So whenever you connect your account to Twitch, we also store the user ID that this player account belongs to. Last but not least, it also has a slug. So because every player is also a broadcaster, they have a public URL that they can access to, which is their username. And the only thing that I don't know yet, whether or not I want to do that, is basically if you sign up using Twitch, but then later on you sign up using Mixer, you would have a chance where there's two people with the same username. And what would the public URL be? Will we always need to add Twitch to every URL? So Twitch and then the username, or do we need to so the same for like Twitch and then the username, or Mixer and then the username? I don't really know yet where I want to go with that. The problem is if I don't make a decision now and then later on I make a different decision, I will need to redirect all the people to that new URL. And I don't really know where I want to go with this yet. So if you guys have any ideas, feel free to hit me up. Also, for now, I tightly couple myself to those integrations, but maybe in the future, all we need to use is the first time you log in, you have this. So basically, you create an account through Twitch, you log in through Twitch, but all of the other user information is still bound to the player. So right now, we only have display name, and we do not allow the player to change it. We just take it from the provider. So when you log in using Twitch, we fetch that user on Twitch, and then we set the display name so that if it changed, we update this local player as well. Then every broadcaster has queues. The idea is that a broadcaster can say, hey, I open up my queue. My queue is now public. People can join the queue. And this is not on a viewer game basis. This is on a broadcaster basis. So maybe later on we want to bound this to a viewer game. But for now, there is none because you want the queue to persist. So maybe we need another like concept above this that is maybe like stream session or something like that, or like viewer game session. Because you have a queue for you as a broadcaster, right? But if I switch games, you might want to have a new queue. So for now, the queue is just bound to a broadcaster. They can clear out the queue and they can do whatever. So a queue consists of an ID. It belongs to a player, so it is owned by a player. And then there is a queue player, which is the relationship between a player and a queue. So these records are basically just stacks of records of the players that are in the queue. So this will say, okay, for this queue, I want to get me all the players, and it will reach out through this table and then get the player through that as well. Which moves slug and provider stuff into something like an accounts table and make the player has many accounts. What would be the benefit? So you can have like one player and then multiple accounts. The thing is like, I'm a little... For now, I just use this Twitch as like a login, right? I just allow people to log in using their Twitch account. because I don't want to have like passwords and credentials in here. But if you could explain to me what the benefit was, I would definitely consider it, because like I said, this is like completely new to me. I've never really integrated with like third-party providers like using OAuth, so I have everything working. It's just that I don't know the most optimal or the most future-proof database structure that like goes with this. Later on, a player will also have connections, which would be your game connection. So you will have one player bound to like your one provider. So you've logged in through Twitch, you created your player through Twitch, but then your player has connections with other games, right? So he needs to log in with Riot Games in order to connect his Riot account. He will need to log into, I don't know, Valve or Steam to get your CSGO username or user ID or whatever. We can differentiate that person to invite him to a VR game. But that is not in the concept just yet. Yeah, so we'll in the future need to be able to connect game accounts, because right now there's no like username here. So if we start a VR game and he joins the queue, then he might, the broadcaster doesn't actually know who to invite because it doesn't show that person's name. So I will eventually need to think about this. For now, it could be as simple as just a game account, a separate table that you have like connections, and then for now we could say we make a connection for League of Legends account, and then later on we replace it by a Riot Games connection or something like that. But I'm not entirely sure yet how I want to pull that off. Then for the VR games itself, it belongs to a player again. It has a game ID, so this VR game is for League of Legends, for example, or for CSGO or whatever. I'm not sure if I want to have a slug for this, because I'm gonna have it like bound to the streamer anyways. But the broadcaster would create a VR game, and then he would pick people from the queue, right? So you could, for now, I probably would say the broadcaster can just handpick a bunch of people, or they could say they take like 5, and then up to the player limit, or they can just say take the top and then the player limit's amount. So let's say for League of Legends, we can probably pre-populate this and be like, okay, you probably want 9 other people, so the player limit will be 9 people. Or if we always include the streamer, I don't know. I don't know what I want to do here, but I want to have this flexible because I don't know all the use cases yet. So I need to learn from people using the app in order to figure out what to do. And then a VR game player is basically a copy of what the queue is doing, but it is a relationship between a player and a VR game. So this queue player thing will be moving a lot. Like, it will be inserting records, it will be deleting records. I also thought about like maybe having a status here saying like, okay, has played or whatever. I don't know yet, because like I said, I don't know exactly what all the use cases are yet and how I want to display everything. So I want to keep this flexible. So for the VR game player, just a connection between the VR game and the player. So a player joins a VR game because the broadcaster assigned this person to the VR game, and then when the game is done, the broadcaster creates another VR game, and then you can just invite players again using the queue. Include the streamer and have it. Yeah, but that's like more UI stuff. But on the DB side, it's like you have 9 other people to insert. But then again, you could also assign the broadcaster could be the first record of every VR game, and then the broadcaster could remove that person later on. I don't know. Like I said, there's a lot to learn here from the space itself, and to figure out like what would be the best way and how people are going to use this. And that's why, yeah, that's why I want this router to be flexible than super locked down or perfectly thought out. So oh yeah, by the way, what is a sub Debane, by the way, and sub Fiana, how's it going? So for slug, a URL slug is basically just a URL. So normally, if you've seen some apps, they might do like viewer games and then 1, right? But in order to have nicer looking URLs, you need something that like identifies that record with an alias of some sort. So instead of like having like a blog and then saying 1, so like you have 1 blog post, you might do like the title of the blog post. So it's better for SEO, but it's also more human readable, and it also obfuscates the actual record ID. Small word identifier, yeah, exactly. So why does a viewer game have a slug? So basically what I expect is like I'll have my app, then some username like Jezra Cats, and then either viewer games or just an ID here. But I want something funny. Like I like the concept that Twitch did with their randomly generated URLs that are kind of like Twitch friendly. So they have like Kappa, Pride, fucking I don't know. There's Monka S, fucking YOLO de Bolo. I really like that concept because it makes up for a little bit more user friendly URLs. The thing is though is that people don't really go to this URL. The only thing this URL is for is to have a view of who was in this viewer game, and I don't really know if this is needed yet. So I might keep this out of scope for now. But what I can see in the future is basically, since we as an app know who played in what viewer game, we could start doing leaderboards for streamers, and they could like look back at their match history. So if we integrate well enough with like our third-party game connections, we could in theory have you play viewer games, the match history will be inside your viewer games, and you would be able to see all the viewer games you've played from all the different streamers, right? So on your user account, you will be able to see, oh, I've played with this date, I played with this person, and it went super well. While on the other, I also played on with this streamer and it didn't go so well, which might be just fun like statistics for you to look at. And I think in the future we could have broadcasters leverage this to do leaderboards and maybe have a fairer way of making those viewer games work. But also maybe gather some insights for the streamer. That's why I think the concept of viewer games hasn't really been used properly yet by anybody. And I think this could become a tool for streamers to actually really gather more insights about their community, or like engage more with their community, and have a cool way of having viewers actually play with their favorite streamers. That's what I want to try. Like, I don't know. That's why I think this is like a little bit more interesting than the other apps that I've built. But yeah, that's basically the concept of it. So let me show you what I have. So I worked basically on integrating with the Twitch API, and since the Twitch API recently changed, all of the existing open source libraries for the Twitch integration are fucking broken. So I had to basically rebuild it by myself. So this is what it is. I copy pasted an open source library and then changed some shit. Which I've also noticed that person also copy pasted from an example of this open source library. So there's an open source library for called Ueberauth, which is like some higher level abstraction on top of or a higher level abstraction that will make you easily integrate OAuth login for like all kinds of major things. So you can log in with GitHub, log in with Google, log in with Facebook, all that shit. There's just a high level abstraction, and they have plugins that you can pull in. We just basically build a plugin ourselves. In the future, we could be thinking about open sourcing this, but I don't have a full grasp of what the code exactly does. So before I want to do that, I also want to write the actual test for them and what people are using this for, because I kind of specifically bound it to what I'm doing, which doesn't necessarily have to be the case. So for now, I'm keeping it like this, but maybe in the future we can open source this. All right, let me show you. So I am already logged into Twitch and my user is already connected to this. So if I log in here, it will actually immediately log me in. And it says successfully authenticated, and then it says welcome JizzroCats. Normally, let me open this in an incognito browser, and I click login to Twitch. You will be sent here, and you need to log in. And then after you've logged in, so let me see if I can log in. So this doesn't create a user yet. This just saves it in session, and that's why I first started writing out like let me log in with JizzroCats test. I think that'll be nice. My test account. Oh, I have 2 auth on this too. I didn't even know. All right. 2-factor. Oh shit. Where's the token though? I don't know if this is gonna work, but oh, it does work. Sweet. It will just basically. Oh, what did I just do? Did I click back? I don't know what I just did. Let's try that again. So it will basically ask you, hey, are you sure you want to give permission for this? And you say, yes, please. And then you're logged in. So now my account is connected to this app. You basically, how this works is you register an application on Twitch side. They give you 2 credentials, a client ID and a client secret. And let me show you what I do with that. So the OAuth flow, there's a bunch of OAuth flows. But let me walk you through the one that I use. This one. There's a standard here, but this reading a standard is always super boring because that's just what standards do. I don't know why. Probably some legal thing, or it's just, I don't know. I don't know why they make these documents always so dull, like specification documents, but it's fine. It's okay. It's just how it is. Basically, you ask the resource owner, which is Twitch in this case, you ask them, hey, can I authorize with this user? You send them the client ID. And I think that's it. You don't send them the client secret, I think. And then they will tell you, yes, sure. And then when they say yes, sure, they will send a request back to your server asking you, hey, this is a token that you can use. And then you pass this token to the authorization server. And then the authorization server gives you an access token back. And then using that access token, which has an expire date, you can make requests as if you were the user. So if I am authenticated, I can now do requests as if I was the user. So I can make requests to the resources that I asked for. So the app can ask, hey, this access token has this permission. So it will ask the user for its email address, his videos, his streaming stuff, like anything. And then when you want to log in, the Twitch will show you like, hey, this app is asking for this and this and this and this permission. Are you sure you want to authorize? So if you ever log in to something like this, if I ever log in like this, and it will show you, are you sure you want to like give access to this and this and this, and you think, why does this app need to use my streamer token or something like that, you should consider it a red flag and just don't authenticate with the app, because they can actually make requests as if they were you. So if a big streamer were to log in on a platform that is kind of unsafe, then that would mean that they could give away their streaming credentials, and then they could on their behalf start streaming. So be very careful when you give permissions out like that, but that basically like belongs to any application, right? So if you connect your Google account to something, it will also ask you for what permissions they want to authenticate with you. All right, so that is pretty much all we have for now. We have a viewer game player. We map provider IDs by name, and then we don't store enums for the player. So I want to, like I said, I want to not rely on database migrations too much for these providers. I just want to keep it on app level. On the other hand, this doesn't change that much. What will happen when the token expires? I haven't implemented anything like that yet, so no idea, to be honest. I think our app just needs to invalidate something, but we don't really need anything from the Twitch app later on, because we only use it for authentication, and then we get the user right after. So after that, we don't even need that token, so we don't store it. We store it, I suppose, wait, let me see. I think we store it on the client here. So we get the token. The client, yeah, so we have an OAuth client. We get the client. We get a token. And then we use that token. And then when do we do a get? Yeah. So we just reuse. Wait, let me see. I think for now I'm doing everything in the controller. No, not doing everything in the controller. I'm doing everything in here. Where do I do that request again? Somewhere I'm doing like a get. Here, no. Here. So on OAuth I have a get, and then where do I use that get again? I can't remember. On the strategy? I think here, yeah. So the strategy is basically from the OAuth higher level abstraction, right? It needs a couple of like stuff. It needs handle request, handle callback. And then on the callback, what we do is we get the token, and then if there's no access token, we show an error, and otherwise we fetch the user. And then when we fetch the user, we do a get to users. If we're not authorized, we just basically show an authorized. If we do get an okay, then we... Yeah, so when we do authorize and we get data when the status code is okay, we put a private property on the connection, and we read from that later on in here and set the info struct of the strategy, because that's what's required from the library. And then in there, let me see, in here, we get the connection and we say put in session the current user with the auth.info. So the auth.info, it is an auth struct that we get here. So the Ueberauth auth, and then we get info, which is that info struct that we have here. This one. Which we'll get it from the private property on the connection. And then we just dump that into the session for now, because like I said, we're not done yet. And then we redirect too. Some good stuff. Yeah, but I think the client, because I'm using an OAuth 2 client library, I think this does this underwater. But I'm not using that at this moment, because like I said, I don't need to fetch the user later on. I just need this on the first request. Are you the Just Cats that used to play Minecraft ages ago Dutch content? Definitely, yes. That is me. Okay, so what we're gonna be working on today, is maybe I can use you guys. If you've ever worked with slugs before, I'm actually curious how I'm gonna do this. So I have a change set here, and a change set is basically a struct that contains a player in this case. You could say like an entity, and a change set basically does transformations or does validation of that change you want to make. So if I want to make a change to the DB, I need a change set, and then I can insert that later on. So for this, I have a create change set that will pass a player, and then the attributes that we want to change. This cast method will basically make sure that it only includes these values. So you're only allowed to change the provider name, the provider entity ID, and the display name. We validate that these fields are required, so it will error out whenever they're not there. We check if they're included in this. So let's say we have another one here called YouTube or something, and that's number 2. It will check if these are any of the known providers. Otherwise, it will say that it's not supported. Then we set the provider field. So the provider field in the DB is just an integer. So it's like 1, 2, 3, whatever. Because I didn't want to have this full strings. So let's say Twitch later on renames to like, I don't know. They get bought up by, and it's like Amazon Gaming or something. Then I will need to change everything in the DB, or I will need to reference an old Twitch. While in application code, I could just change this because the ID is still 1. So I want to basically, these are ideas, but they're not referenced anywhere in the DB side of things. In theory, I could use like enums for this or anything like that, but for now, I just like the flexibility. So then we set the provider based on the provider name. So we check if the changelog has a provider name. We get that field, and then we match if this. We use the get provider ID by provider name, which just does a map get, and it will check here. Does this exist? Then give me the ID. If the ID is a number, then we put the change. Then we change a value on the change set in order to change it on the DB. Otherwise, we return the same change set because later on we're going to be validating it anyways. So after this value is set, we basically check, hey, is the provider there or not? And we check, is it any of those values that are in this? And then have an appropriate error message corresponding to it. The last thing that we need to do, which is what I'm going to be working on today, which I've taken already 33 minutes to even explain what this app is going to do. We're going to be working with this slug field because on the migration side of things, we have basically specified that we cannot insert a player without passing a slug. But the problem is that we could have in the future, we could have somebody sign up from YouTube and then have the slug be the same as the player that signed up with Twitch. So let's say I have twitch.tv/Bob and I create a player using Twitch. I have a display name that is called Bob now. But this slug does not is not unique with another player from another provider. And the thing is, I don't want actually people picking their slugs themselves. I want it to be automatically generated from display name. So what I need to decide here is if I want to have my app twitch.org/jizzrocats, or whether I immediately want to make it future proof and do like twitch.jizzrocats or TTV, and then have like YouTube, and I don't know what else is there. Mixer. I don't know what the abbreviation for Mixer is. Mixer. Like, I don't know. I don't know if what the streamers care about is more this than they care about the features. Because if you're a big streamer and somebody else yoinks your YouTube one, I'm a little bit afraid of. So if somebody signs up with Mixer, which a big streamer on Twitch hasn't claimed, then they would then get like this crazy, like, I don't know, I'm a cutie pie or something. Because they own I'm a cutie pie on Mixer, they then have this URL, but then when I'm a cutie pie were to join, then we would have an issue. So I'm not entirely sure how I want to do this yet, and whether or not I want to care about this for now. The thing is, if you pick one, it's hard to move away from it, because as soon as people are linking to this URL kind of always needs to resolve to something. So if we later on decide, oh no, we need to actually add a prefix, then if I'm a cutie pie has this one set up like this, we're not going to be able to resolve it to the correct URL, or we need to redirect all the Twitch people to TTV, which is fine. But then again, I don't know how I want to solve the fact that maybe I'm a cutie pie is owned by, like, on his Mixer app. I really don't know how I'm going to approach this yet. Maybe I need to change the migration to not be unique per slug, but more unique on provider and slug, so that if you have a username on Twitch, you can never have another person sign in with the same slug for that. But like I said, I'm not entirely sure yet what I'm going to do here. How does anybody know how Twitch does the usernames? Because I'm pretty sure you cannot change your URLs, can you? Or maybe they can now. I think I had to... Can somebody... Yeah, I can change my username. You may update your username. So I can change my display name. So the username... So if I change my username, the URL will also change. Because that is a legitimate use case. Because in theory, somebody could be streaming under one username and then later on change their username to be something else. The user ID, so the provider entity ID does not change. We know that. Yeah, we'll later on probably need to do a migration to move this out to another table. I don't want the player to know about what provider and such it comes from. It just knows that it's a player. But anyways. Because every time we log in, we could check, hey, you're trying to authenticate, did this username change? Then we might have to update the slug as well on our side. Like, I don't really know. It's just, these are always questions that you need to ask from what do you want your product to do? What do you want your app to do? And in this situation, I don't really know. If somebody changes their username on Twitch and then they log into my application again, does that mean that they also want my app's slug to change? Yo, Papa Big Head, thanks so much for the raid. Sim Train is here, Pog. How's your stream, bro? Oh, this isn't League. Regret. Yeah, maybe. How's your stream, bro? So what is the ideal behavior here if a user logs in? If you were to log in to your... Maybe as a broadcaster you do care, but as a user you don't really care. He was shit. Feels good, man. If you were to log into my app, so if you were to click on this, and you've changed your username for what it was before, do you then want to be prompted with, hey, we noticed that your credentials changed. Do you want to update your slug or not? Or do we only want to change it? Do we want to change it underwater? Or do we want to check if this user had viewer games maybe? And then if the user has any viewer games, then it means he's kind of a broadcaster. Meaning that he might care about his slug. I don't really know. What's up, Ken? I'm so bad at Dark Souls. Oh shit, you play Dark Souls? God damn. Oh shit, new setup? Or am I just tripping? No. Still the same. I really don't know what I want to do. Okay, let's take this out for now. Let's not care too much about the slug. Let's just reference true user ID for now. We can always change it later on. A slug is just a nice to have thing anyways, right? You put the art behind. Dude, I had this for like what? This has been out here for like a couple months now, maybe a half a year already. And I'm tripping, don't mind me. It's all good. How was your project? How's it going? So for now, okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna just be simple. Should we remove the slug altogether? We could do that and just like add it later on. This needs to be added on release anyways, but I don't want to deal with records right now to have this, so let's just mix ecto rollback the migration, so it drops the indexes and it drops the table. Let's remove the slug. We don't care about the slug for now. Let's do a migration. I think I had a Postgres something here. This thing. I can't remember the username. I guess just Postgres. Viewer games. Wait, what was the DB? Oh shit. There. Viewer games dev. Cool. Yeah, okay. So we're gonna have a uniqueness constraint on not creating another player if they've already like once logged in for this, right? So we never want to have a user create another player if they've already had a player in the past. What's up, Cozy? So let's keep the slug out for now. Let's not care about that at all. Then I think we're done in terms of authentication for Twitch. We can maybe write some tests, but I have a couple tests. Let's see if the test coverage is good enough. Just enough. I just want to have just enough tests. I don't want to overdo it. I have validation for things that you can pass, that you should be passing. I have validation for if you're passing a provider that I don't know about. And I have yeah, should set a provider correctly based on the provider name. Okay, so let's now set up a context to create this. So let's do Phoenix context. So Phoenix context is basically just a overhaul of a certain subject, something. That is related to your business logic. Oh, we can generate controllers for this. Cool, cool. I don't really care too. So we have the concept of a player. Inside of viewer game. So we have viewer games, that's the app. And then we have viewer game, the realm of viewer game. We might have other realms. Not entirely sure what else would be in this app, but for now, I just have everything scoped because I don't know what the next thing is going to be. So maybe I'll remove that part later on, but for now, yeah, maybe I'll create a module for accounts. So player and accounts should be separated because a player does not necessarily have to be the user account. But then again, what else does the player do if they have connected accounts anyways? Yeah, so maybe I'm overthinking. Let's just keep this in for now. That's basically what my problem is mostly anyways, is that I really have a tendency to overthink things. Like, I really want to do things right, but I have to stop myself from doing that because otherwise I get nowhere. So let's create a player's context or like service, kind of what this is. So I need to create a module. Oh. So viewergames.viewergame.players. I don't know if we have to call this service or not. The convention here doesn't specify this because they just have like an accounts.ex. But we don't have that. Just do it wrong. The problem is with doing it wrong when you do things on DB level. Yeah, it's a little scary because you will need to do a lot of hacks to get shit back and remodel things. So messing up the DB is always pretty hard. It's a big mistake. But doing things in your own application logic, you can always refactor. So that doesn't really matter. So let's do new or create player. Is that the convention? Wait, I think I can generate this. Phoenix Gen HTML. Phoenix Gen context. This is what I want to do. So the context is viewer game. Then it is, oh fuck, players, plural. Oh, this is generates a context with functions around the active schema. Fuck. Shit. So a context module. Okay, let me see what this does. If I do this, I can always delete it. So this creates a bunch of tests, but it also creates the accounts in here. And then here is the boundary. Okay, so they have the boundary living here. Okay. So then maybe this player stuff doesn't actually need to be inside viewer game. Because the thing is, our whole app is around viewer games. So what should the context be for us? Player related stuff, game related stuff, broadcaster related stuff maybe? These could be like the boundaries. Maybe account related stuff. Because I have Twitch completely outside here. So that's like not inside of viewer games. So viewer games is already a concept of itself. So maybe viewer games shouldn't be in here. This should be just be the player space, maybe. Maybe this should be players. And then have the player here. And then have players inside here. Phoenix concept still confused the heck out of me. I mean, it is just services kind of, if you think about it. So let's get rid of this. In theory, this isn't even Phoenix related. It's just that they generate this kind of shit, but in theory, it doesn't really matter. Because in theory, you can orchestrate your business logic the way you want, right? It's just that they kind of like generate this based on your app name, but you don't necessarily have to. So for example, this viewer game context might have a repo that connects to XDB, but maybe I have another context that has its own repo that like connects to a completely different DB, because in theory, you could see this as microservices by itself and like they own themselves. So I like the player being inside the viewer games module because that's where it belongs. A player is connected to a viewer game. And this is not. That's good. So this would be viewer games players player. And then we would have this as players. Oh, but we already just created that. So let's just copy paste this and see. We'll need to change our test, but that's okay. So now instead of accounts, we would have players. And then this user would not be user. Oh boy, that's a lot of reference. Shit. Players.ex. And then replace user match case. And then this user lowercase is going to be player. And then the user uppercase would be player. Done. We're chilling? I think this works. Okay, so we don't really care about this because we're never going to really list the players. Because whenever we list players, we're going to list them from a queue and not just like this. But for now, we can keep it to just test things out. Because we can just run this. So create player, ask the players create change set. And then we're also going to have an update change set, but we don't really need that for now. Let's also remove that. Are we ever going to delete a player? I don't know. Maybe. Not entirely sure. Probably, yes. So we can get a player by ID. We need to have a way to get a player by its resource ID, I think. Change player. So this is a change set. I don't know why you would need that. Either. Cool. All right, so now we need to update our tests. The viewer games, and then we're gonna have an accounts test. So they have everything on context tests, not so much the models here, but we have some model tests. But we could actually move this to the boundary and test it on context level. So maybe we can just reuse these tests. Well, okay, let's leave this for now here. What I wanna have is players inside here. I'm gonna have the player test moved there. And then we rename this to be viewer games players player test. We take the viewer games players player. We have a create change set and then all the tests pass. So nothing changed there. We're just moving files around. And remove this folder. There's accounts test. It needs to be players test. I don't care about this. This is not gonna be accounts anymore. This is gonna be players. This user thing is not gonna be users, so let's change that as well. So this user uppercase is gonna be player uppercase. Hey, why does it not work? Oh. Such epic music, man. The shitty thing is if I'm streaming, I have to make sure that I don't run into, like, do any copyrighted music stuff, because then I get problems. If I upload this to YouTube, it's kind of an annoying thing. Okay, so these tests will fail, which is fine. But we can change them to work. But this, yeah. Not entirely sure about these tests yet, but we'll see. We'll reevaluate them later. So we can get all the players. And I think when we create a player, this is also where the slug magic happens, but we don't need that yet. So we took that out for now. So let's keep it the way it is for now. Okay, now this is fine. This creates a proper player. So let's update. Do we need to? Oh no, we're not using anything like this yet. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to create a player. And then, but we need to change it depending on the place that we create this player. So I found somewhere in the examples. Let me find it. I think they said like find or create. And I think I like that idea of having that. What do they have? Oh no, wait. I need to go to the examples. So they have like an example here, in which they have, I think, one loose one and then one of themselves. Yeah, user from auth, find or create. Let's find that. User from auth. Find or create. So they basically have multiple methods here, one of which is auth, and then they take basic info from this. But what we need to do here is we need to, based on the authentication method that we get, we need to find or create the user this. We need to find or create this player as soon as they log in. Let's create that method. We can make use of this create player under the hood, but we need to find or create. And then do we get this back? So the provider might be this. Okay, so let's figure this out. So let's alias this. Let's put this in. I don't know also what the... Do you group these like this? Anything viewer game related? And then... I don't know what the concept is, but... Or like what the convention is. So we would get auth here. So what is auth? What is Ueberauth auth? Let's see. Or let's rather see where we use this. So in the auth controller, we are going here, and then we get the auth here. So this is what we get. So we get an auth struct here. Yes. Okay. So we want to find or create using that. That would be sick. Let's do auth. Just like the example. And then we pattern match it and we say, if this matches with the right side, so if the right side, which is auth, which is the first argument of this function, if it pattern matches with this, and then maybe we can say Twitch here. Or maybe if it's a string, we'll need to see. So let's do end. And then we can say IO puts Twitch. And let's create another one that is just auth in general. Something else. And then we say IO inspect auth. And then I want to say IO puts with some stars. Just to know that it ends here. All right, so let's go into our auth controller again. So we get an authentication here. And then what I want to do here is I want to call viewer games, or let's alias this. Viewer games dot players. Let's do players dot find or create auth. And then we just do the rest. So it just does the same thing it always does. So let's log out here. Let's clean this one up. Let's log in. And then we've hit Twitch. So that's good. That's good. So you can see that the provider that is passed is Twitch. And we get that in the auth as well. Meaning that we can pattern match on that. So for Twitch... So I don't know if we even want this case. Because I kind of want to find and create only for the authentication that we know about. So if it's for Twitch, we create a player. Do we need anything else? Do we need more attributes? And then we say provider name is Twitch. And then we say what do we say? So maybe we don't even need to do this matching here then. We can just let the service boundary know that if you I don't know, I want to have this as close to the DB as possible. But I don't know if that's safe. Anyways, we need a provider entity ID. So we need to find this somewhere from this auth object. And I think in our strategy, we're saying, well, we don't store the ID. think we should do that. But we also have the entire Twitch user here in raw info. And we also stored a token. Because we need that token later on to fetch the user. Actually, we don't. We don't even use this token. Why are we storing this? We don't need this later on. Anyhow. So raw information including the token obtained from the Twitch TV callback. Yo, Twitch TV. I want to get rid of all the Twitch TV references because I copied those over as well. So we have the entire Twitch user in here. So raw info user is also in here. So that's on extra. Because I don't know if I can add extra stuff in this. But anyways. So on auth here, we have info.id. And then we have display name, which is auth.info.name. Let me check what the type is for the auth thing. For that auth struct. Info. Name first, so there's no ID on here. So maybe that needs to be an extra. So we also have extra here. Or is UUID on this? I think it's UUID then. Or UID. So we can just do UID. And then we can do info.this.name here. So that's all we have. So we just call create here, create player. It takes the create change set, it adds the attributes, and then we go through some validation and then we repo insert. So let's see if that works. Let's check if that works. So right now we're only allowed to pattern match on this, and if it doesn't exist, we throw an error. So what do they do in the code here? So they say case auth from, oh, okay. Okay, so they return here. Here, they return player. So first we need to find the user. And otherwise create the user. So what do they do? Like, it's just looking at other people's code and seeing what they do. So they say here, validate the password. And otherwise an error with the reason. So where did they actually create the user? Oh, auth credentials. What does validate password do? It just says okay. Is there a repo? Maybe there's already something for it. Upsert. Okay, so what did I do? Because that's what I want, right? I want to insert if it insert or update. Is that what I want? Yes. Insert or update. Insert or update. Insert or updates a chain set depending on whether the struct is persisted or not. Okay. But then you do need... In theory, we have the entity ID, so I don't know what this is going to query on. Well, we can see, though. We can see. We can do player create this. Wait. And then we can do repo dot insert or update. And then let's see what that does. Very curious. Let's see what kind of query that does. Key ID not found. Yeah, okay, so I added that to the player strategy here, but that doesn't work. But we have the UID. So let's log out. Let's take a look at our DB. Should be nothing in there. There's nothing. When I log in with Twitch... Oh, let's take a look at the controller code here. I actually don't know what this returns. I think it's okay and then something. Because what I'm afraid of is gonna hit wrong indexes and then just completely fuck up. Alright, let's just call this without doing anything with it, just like we did before. So log in with Twitch. Boom. There should be a record in the DB now. Provider entity ID, that's my user ID on Twitch. That's correct. And then if I log out now and I log back in again. Attempting to insert struct. Okay, so basically insert or update depends on whether the change set has an ID already. So we do need to find the existing player. Yeah. The problem is whether or not what I'm afraid of here is later on, let's say there's replicas, right? There's read replicas for our DB. If I create a player and then that is not replicated to my, yeah, okay, whatever. That's way too future stuff. Okay, let's first do a query. Player get. We can do a normal get here, actually. But we cannot find it by ID, so that's why we need to find it. Find or get player by provider and entity ID. Provider name entity ID. No results error. Let me think. Is there a repo get? Let's see. Instead of by ID, right? Get by. Yeah, okay. That's what I need. So repo.getBy, and then we get player. Oh, it's a list. Oh no, you can also do like this. So we're gonna do provider name. No, provider. This is a. Okay, let's make this a public function. So on a player, I can ask, get me the provider ID based on the provider name. Which, let's add some docs. Oh, let's keep the docs as is, but then. Cool. So let's call that here. And then the provider entity ID. Provider entity ID is entity ID. That's how I want to query it. And then I don't know what I get back here. So get by, what does it give me back? Because I don't want it to blow up. Or nil. Okay. So get by will always give me the schema, or else it raises a no results error. That's not what we want to go for. Yeah, so let's add docs later for this. Then we go into the auth controller and we say, no, wait. So first we need to find this user. So if there's a player, what we say is the auth, so Twitch. And then entity ID is the auth UID. So we check if there is a player already. And if... Wait. Case do, and then we say if it is nil, we create the player. And otherwise, just return the player. What's up, Connor? What are we making? We're making a viewer game map. Okay, yeah, let's get these params in. There might be some more elegant way to do this, but I don't know about it, so we get from our DB, we ask, is there a user for this Twitch account and UUID? If so, then return it. Otherwise, create one. and then return it. And this will return a player. The OK player. And otherwise error player. Okay, so we need to return here with OK player. Otherwise we don't match with the same types. Do we want to update the player too? So what if my username changes? I want my username to change here too, I think. So then it would be a case of, then it would actually be a case of wait, so player can be nil. Well, I wonder if we could do something like this. Player equals get player, or because this could be nil. I want this to basically return an empty model if there is none. Yes, I'm still listening to music, YouTube. Okay, let's first check if it just works, you know? Like, we don't have to... Let's just first do this. Alright, so case, find me the player for this Twitch and auth UID. Otherwise, create me one. If I found one, then just return it. So if we then go here and we say case... If it is okay, then we say connection, do all this shit. If it is error, then we say what did the other one say? Yoinking whatever they have. They just say put a flash with the reason, and then redirect. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Current user, player, user. Okay. Let's see how this goes. It's all or nothing. Okay. Let's go here. Delete this record from the DB. That is copied to CSV. That's not what I wanted to do. Okay, so the records are empty. We log in. It blew up. Name not found in blah blah blah. Oh yeah, because we're returning a user now. So we're returning the entire player here. So if we go to layout app. And then we do page controller. I think we do some crazy shit here, yeah. So this is not user, the name. This is now display name. Because we have the player. Yeah, okay, so it created a user, I suppose. Yep, it did. So if I log in now, or I log out now, we still have a user, but then when we log in, it shouldn't create another one. It should just use the one that we already had. So that's good. We got that part. That's great. That's good. And we can actually test this as well. So if we start writing unit tests now, Oh shit, we still have this as well. Get out of here. Let me see, what else did it generate? Oh, we did a lot of stuff. We forgot to commit in between. Okay. It's fine. Let's chunk this one out because this is an important milestone. Get rid of slug for now. We can tackle this at a later stage. Yeah, so let's change current user to not be current user. Does that work? No. So not current user, but we can say current player. Just to emphasize. We'll also need to figure this stuff out because I'm not going to set this thing in every controller like this. That is way too much work. Alright. So get shot now, how's it going? When scouting DayZ? Probably never. When the game is fun again. Alright, what we did was... we moved files around. Moved files and... added account creation, player creation on login. Okay, let's fix those tests now. So if we run mix tests, it's gonna fail. It's also gonna compile. Okay, so what do we really want to test here? Not this, really. What we kind of want to test is... Let's get the players module. Is find or create is, I think, what we want to test, because that is what we created. Let's say describe to... So let's describe when a player already exists to and when a player does not exist. I think we can run these after another because not sure if we clean the DB in between every test, but we'll see. And then we also have a case where, yeah, whatever. Okay, so let us create a player. So test it should create a player with the correct credentials. In theory, this should also be tailored to Twitch because we could have more finder create, but this is one, so one is for Twitch. So if I call player dot find or create, and what do I pass? I have to pass it an auth struct. So I need to make an auth struct here. Let's see how that goes. Let's add an alias here. Oh, I already did that. Oh, this is the players module. Oops. This needs to be inside here. Yeah, let's keep it here. So we need to create auth here. I don't know what it needs. It needs all this. How do they test it? It's interesting for those of you that haven't really written tests. You can really can be really helpful at looking at the library tests to figure out how you can use your own. Save more controller, like integration tests. Well, maybe they have some documentation on how to properly test. Oh, they might have tests in here in the example. Sweet. Controllers. Page controller. No, that is a great test. Super useful. Okay, these are not useful at all. Bypass. Oh, here. Oh, so they're doing the same. Okay, so let's create a function here. How did they do that before? What I just removed? Here. Def. Alright. What's up, Stick Arms? How's it going? Create auth. Attributes. So provider is going to be Twitch. Then the info is going to be name. Going to be my name. And then I don't care about email because I don't have that. UID is 999. Can I map merge this? Because it is a struct. So let's say I want to change the UID. I think you can just do that. Okay. But we also want to change the info. Yeah, let's just make it explicit. We don't really make use of extra, so. Well, let's just always pass UUID. Fuck it. And then info is gonna be, we can merge here. So what else do we have here? Let's see. Strategy. We have email, bio, logo. Logo? Really? Sweet. Okay. Didn't even know we had the email of the user. We're not really using it or storing it anywhere. So I don't even know why we store it in the info. I'm good, thank you. How are you? I'm doing fine as well. Thank you for asking. Been quite a while since I last jumped into the stream. It's all good. Good to see you back. In some way, I kind of want to have the same shape, but honestly, we probably won't need it in any of the tests. I think we do this in Elixir. Okay. Provider. I wonder if we can if we can partially apply this. Does that work in Elixir? Okay, they didn't really not support it because of how Erlang is used. Okay, that's fine. We can create a module here though. I don't know if this works, but let's see. Dino, how's it going? All right, so let's create this and let's say auth equals, do we need to do anything here? The UUID is 999. The info I don't really care about. Let's find or create, and then we assert. Okay. Okay, we're saying here we're pattern matching on when we call this, and the assertion is that we're getting okay back in the player, and I think this is then I can actually use the player here and assert further on the player. So I can say, all right, create a Twitch auth for UUID 999. Yeah, so it should fail if we already have a user for this. But it shouldn't fail, really. Because it should find or create. Okay. What are we making today? We're making a viewer game app that allows us to basically allow streamers to create viewer games and manage them and I want to have some whole sort of like loyalty system or praising system, leaderboard system around viewer games. I want to basically make streamers more use the viewer games as something awesome, because I feel like viewer games are just run on the side as like a funny thing, but I think streamers can actually leverage viewer games more for their streams in terms of their growth. So I hope that this tool can help them achieve that. All right, let's first do this test, see how that goes. Oh, unexpected do. No, this is exactly what I mean. Do I need a comma? Okay, wait, let me just do this. I'm not sure why it doesn't work, but I'm not super like familiar with the Elixir syntax, so I'm gonna call describe and another describe. What? Can I use context? Does that exist? Nope. Interesting. There's only test and describe, right? Describe, test. Okay. That's just how it is then. How do I do when blocks inside your describe here? Not a fan. Not a fan. How do I actually get these long like assertions? But sure. Should create a player when it does not exist yet. So let's change this to a test block instead of context block. Test should return the player when the player exists. Sure. I don't know if these are run beforehand or not. Let's just comment this one out. I'm not sure how I'm gonna test that yet. Just did a Googling. Must have been a few years. Still kind of remember DayZ times. DayZ times are good, but DayZ is not so much fun anymore as it used to be. I'm not really playing that game anymore. Describe inside another describe. Okay. We're going even further, boys. Not a fan, not a fan. Very hard to do behavior-driven tests if you don't have those nested blocks. Undefined create Twitch auth. It's right here. Sorry, that was pattern matching wrong. Finder create is undefined. Player. It should be players. Use alias player. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, this is not considered this. Okay, interesting. Okay, that task passed. That's cool. Let's create another one. Should return the player when it exists. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a player. Let's see if this already fails. But we need to create it like hard. So repo insert hard. Let's steal that from the code. Oh, I don't have the code anymore. Oh, I do. Oh, wait, this fixture actually uses the... Okay. I don't want my players file to have a create. Oh, we're using it already. But this could be like a private one. Because I don't think we're going to be creating players without define or create. But who knows? Let's just keep it for now. Not entirely sure if I want to, but we can do exactly this though. Valid attributes. And we're going to be inserting provider is the Twitch provider. And provider entity ID is gonna be entity ID. Oh, we can just do it like this. Map.merge with attributes. I don't know what I like more. Maybe like this. I think I'm fine with this. So I can change the provider if I want to. Display name. Here's our cats. All right. So let's create a player. Do I have repo here? No. I don't know if I want my... Maybe I need like factories or something, but I haven't really looked into that yet. Silverfaga. So I'm not sure if I just want to leverage this and just keep this public, but I don't think we're ever going to use it. So that would be a bad idea. I'm not going to expose anything if we're not going to publish. Oh, let's actually... No. Yes. We keep it private for now, but... I think you can do this. So alias is basically so you don't have to write the entire thing. Then we do repo insert. So create a player So we're just gonna do a create player. And then we're gonna make sure that we create exactly another one. So create player, and then we want the entity ID to be exactly 999. Meaning that we already have a record for this person, and then we're gonna do exactly this call. And then the player ID should match. So first of all, it should be okay, and then we assert that the found player. We assert that the player.id equals found player.id. That they're the same. That's what I want to assert. Can I do this? I want to assert that the player that we've created before is the same as the found player, that we did not create a new record. That's what I want to test. See if that works. Does not. 16 here. Atcher does not exist and is being expanded to Atcher. Please use a parentheses. Oh, it's Atters. My bad. Create change set 2 is undefined. Module player is not available. Right. What? I'm passing the player right here. Let me see. Yeah, it's right here. So I'm passing change set with player, but oh, I'm not passing attributes. Create change set. How am I not passing attributes? I am passing attributes here. Create change set on a player. Player. Let's also alias this. So we can just do this. Create player in the player test. Create change set on a player. Create change set player attributes. And then we're passing it. It should match. Let's see what this does. What is the value of this? This is correct. That's very interesting. Okay. Not entirely sure. Oh, okay. Now we're actually further. It's asserting on this now. So what went wrong here? So this assert went right. So what is the IO puts inspect here? And what is the player before? Oh, I think I get OK back. So the first one is error. Insert. Provider name cannot be blank. Okay. Sure. That's actually nice. I like this better. So I get okay back here. So let's deconstruct that. That's pattern match it, sorry. Okay, so the tests are passing. They're both players now. IDs are the same, so it's not a new creation. Let's see if we can break these tests. So before you actually, let's do entity ID here. So make them the same. Well, let's actually make them different than this one. Just to be sure. Okay. If you want to make sure that your tests are always fine, you should check, or you want to make sure that the tests are catching the things that you want them to catch, right? So if what we're testing here is to make sure that we get the same entity back that is in the DB as the one that we just created. So we just created a player, and then we do a find or create, and we wanted to not create another one. So what we want to do is we want to break the code so that it catches that exception. So if instead of doing a get call here, we always were to return a new player, then our test should catch this. So if we say find or create is just creating a player, so all the time it will create a new one, that would mean that our code is not passing. Okay, that's fine. We get a constrained error, a uniqueness constrained. That's also actually interesting. Because I think we had something here that checks for this. We don't. So let's do a uniqueness check. This is actually good. Our test actually caught that we forgot to add a uniqueness constraint check here. So on a change set, you can say, if anything from the DB returns a constraint error, you can say unique constraint, and then you will get a proper error message. You can say, okay, on provider and on migrations, these two, and then you say message is player already created, already registered, or something. Let's see what this error is going to be. Huh, interesting. Why is it not working? So field or fields, and then options. So email company name. The uniqueness constraint on email company ID. And so when you then insert, it should have a change set error, not blow up. Why is it still blowing up then? Very strange. Very confused, actually. Constrained to, yeah, schema constraints to errors, but then it somehow doesn't really. Do we have to do it by name? Alright, there's create unique index on the players table for these two indexes unique. Why is it not working? Your stream makes me want to lay down in bed with my eyes closed because it's too chill. I'll say too much so it amplifies the feeling. What time is it? Oh shit, it's already 7. Still need to cook. Oh, if you add a name to it, you have to use the name. Oh, fuck. Kind of ugly, but...
Well, when life gives you lemons...
Oh, but they're still doing both. Yo, Erwin!
Oh, hey.
Thank you so much for the 27 centuries in a row of resubscribing. Welcome back! You guys haven't checked out my boy. Please go check him out. Check out Pixel's Realm. How's life, man? How's things? I'm not a fan of this. I thought this would just work. And I think it should just work. I don't know why it doesn't. What if I move this up? Just see how it goes. Alright, let's try that. Okay. Sweet. The code is actually already catching this error. Because the database is catching this error. So I wonder if I need a test for this. Like, if the database is already throwing the hell up. I really don't like this index name though. Not a fan, not a fan. If I remove it, it doesn't work, right? No. That's pretty gay. That's pretty hetero. True, it's MongoDB. My bad, guys. I have nothing against gays. But if I were to say that's pretty hetero, then would hetero people complain about it? They should. Anyways, let's not go there. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. Let's just keep it. But I wonder if this test is useful then. Because even if the database is already stopping us from not allowing this to happen, then I don't think we need a test for it. Because then it's not really testing anything. Unless somebody changed the DB. So I guess we can keep it, but... Sure, let's keep it. Fuck it. Fuck the world. Take back the code that we had before. And... let's see if we need to write any more tests. I would find it humorous, but am I really hateful? I don't know. I don't think Boyd could see it from their perspective either. Fuck you. All right, let's change the docs to match. Don't need an example. Finds or creates a player depending on the auth. Past auth. Do we need to make this explicit? Find or create by auth? Maybe. It's a bit ugly, but it's explicit. Then again, it is already pattern match, so in theory, the code should say that it does. So let's just keep it. Cool. Get player. Let's add a doc block for this one too. Gets a single player based on the provider and the entity ID. Cool. Maybe we can do this. Is this better? I don't know. I don't know which one is better. Or more pretty. Prettier. We'll figure that out when we hit the lint stage. Alright. We can remove all the other tests. Or did we already do that? No. Let's remove all these redundant tests. We don't need delete yet. We don't need get yet. We don't need list. I don't think we'll need get either. Up hummus. Does Naomi ever say, draw me like one of your cats? What? Deletes a player. So you pass the player and it will try and delete the player. We will need that. Let's keep that one in. So we need to create a player. And then delete the player. And then when we try and get the player again, it should show a no results error. But we don't have that method. Well, shit. Undefined function error, yeah, exactly. How do we test that the player is actually deleted? We can do a hard repo get. Cert repo get yeah, I created it before the test, but then I need to check the DB again. Just do a get, right? Does repo get just take the ID? Oh, okay. Yeah, you need to pass the type. Okay. But nothing was raised. Oh, you need to do an exclamation mark. Oh, I can also just test assert nil equals. Can I assert for nil? Oh! I just run a completely fucking shit. I just generated a bunch of resources. Yikes. Run the wrong command. Yeah. This is a web app for Twitch. Expected truthy got no. Okay, whatever. Make it what it is. It's fine. As long as it works, it works. Video games player test deletes a player. One failure. Function clause error. No function clause matching players test. Oh. Done. Works. Easy peasy. We've got ourselves some tests. Sweet. Not like we're really using delete yet, but it's there. You know? It's there. So what did we do? Add tests for context boundary for player's context. But we also added uniqueness constraint. We have to test that too? Doesn't really relate to any of the changes here. So let's add that here. Test should validate uniqueness of provider and provider entity ID. Too. That's not a very behavioral thing to say, but you know. Display name Pinoid which provider entity ID is 123. Cool. And then we say is this change that valid? Assert true equals change set not valid. No idea if that's even a method or whatever, but cool, it passes. Sweet. Let's see if it still passes. No. True. Okay, it's true. The thing is valid. So let's now repo. I want to test this by itself. I don't know why I would do that, but whatever. Because I think we can test this already on bounded context level, but whatever, you know, let's also do this here. Whatever. Let's get the repo. Oops. Keep hitting all kinds of buttons. Such a sad song. Okay, let's insert and then assert. Yeah, so let's create one, which is then the player. And then we insert another one, player 2, which should then be error. Right? Okay. Now I want to IO inspect, change set, and I want to assert false to equal true. Fail. Everyone, fail the test, baby. Sub free size. Already registered. Provider already registered. That is a very ugly error message. Player already registered. Yeah. Alright. This is a case that could never happen. So we shouldn't really care about too much about the message. So what is the default message? Has already been taken. Sure, it's good enough. Put this back on one line. All right. We have an errors on chain set. And then we assert provider has already been taken. Equals errors on chain set. Cool. Variable player name is not used. Player, yes, true. Cool, sweet. We have a test. Sweet. Awesome. A test for uniqueness validation. Actually, do I need a validation for this? Because in theory, this should never happen. It should just blow up. So actually, I'm going to remove this code. Because all this work should happen underwater, and we should never even try to create a user, a player for this provider and provider entity ID, because you'll always need to do a find by. Find or create. So that I think this just should just blow up. I don't think this is a user related error. I think this is a code related error. So this should just blow up. So it's fun that we just wrote a test that we're not going to use. Okay, so where are we at now? What have we just written? We've just moved some stuff around. But at least now we have a user to work with, which is pretty sweet. So let's merge this code. That's what we're gonna do. We're actually pretty far now. We're not really moving super fast, but we're getting there. So let's, before I always submit the code, I always check. Is everything in there that it should be in there? So we're setting the config to allow for provider Twitch to be there. We are... I think we can change something. On our player, we're doing string-based matching here, but in theory we can just do this. And then by provider name, this would then be passing... It's... yeah, this. But I think on the change set, considering that we're setting the change set, we can say, instead of Twitch here, we say Twitch. And then instead of Twitch here, we say Twitch. And as if our tests still pass, then we should be good. But we don't. This is why we write tests, guys. This is exactly why we write tests. So I can refactor something knowing that it's still working. But the provider name that we pass is a string? Not... oh yeah, it's a string. But I think... maybe this transformation shouldn't happen on the player itself. Maybe this transformation should happen in the context boundary. Because then it removes this check. What's up, are you menu? No, actually not. Okay, let's go back. I was right. Considering that it's just an endpoint that could be hit by anybody. Oh, I forgot about this one. Considering that it's an endpoint that could be hit by anybody, I don't think we should change this, and it should be a string. Because somebody could, like, call something, like, do a callback and then have some sort of unsupported. Maybe, I don't know, maybe OAuth thingy already checks for this, but I don't know.
Everyone,
okay.
get in here!
What's up, Kalisiki? Thanks so much for the follow. Create player 1 is never used. What do you mean? Wait, oh, it's not there anymore. Okay. I was like, what? Okay, we're fine. Documentation, Twitch, Ueberauth. Sure. Still wondering if we should add all this, but whatever. Also, not sure about this. Because we're never reaching here anyways. I'm not entirely sure. So if we're not entirely sure and we're not using it right now, then we should remove it. If we don't use it, we don't need it. So let's get rid of it. We're also not using this anywhere. So maybe this should just be an empty extra. Or maybe we can remove it altogether. I think it will complain because I think it relies on having this method. But let's see. Doesn't care. Beautiful. Less code is always better. Oops. Unused alias. Perfect. Even lesser code. Beautiful. Remove unused extra field. We can always add it back if we need it, but we don't need it so far, so why keep it if we're not using it? Ooh, I'm seeing some puts, IO puts still. Cool. Remove puts. Developer puts. That's why we code review, guys. Review your own code always. If you don't have others to review your code, you have to do it yourself. Catch the errors. I'm seeing code comments here and here. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. We're not using it. We're not using it. Why keep it if you don't need it? Meanwhile, me, if I made something useless, but I made this my baby. Yeah. The thing is, I have it committed, so I can always find an older commit. This one has a full example. This one is just a simple doc block. The mapping from the provider name to the identifier used in the DB. These are the only providers that are currently supported. Yes. In theory, players shouldn't know about this, but maybe we'll change it later. Cool. I think this looks fine. Provider display. Uniqueness constraint. Tests. Checking that the provider passing Twitch will result in name or provider ID 1. Making sure that we do not save anything when we have unsupported providers. Cool. Sounds good. Fuck. Remove unused code. And then let's do a lint. Or something. How do I lint again? Format? I think it's format. Trailing commas are not allowed. Okay. Formatting code, boys. Formatting code. Sure. This is a very ugly formatting, though. Like, what? Not too big of a fan of that. But sure. We're not gonna care about formatting. Any prettiers? Prettier is so sick, man. Well. Okay, let's go. What does this BR do? It adds a login with Twitch button. It's nice for a future reference if we add a screenshot. Adds a login with Twitch button. Creates an initial player when logged in. I honestly don't know what we do when we error, but fuck the world, right? I can write tests for that too, but I haven't figured that one out yet. What else did we do? Adds the entire login with Twitch. Business logic. That's pretty much what we did. Cool. Do we have CI? No CI yet. Okay. I guess then we're just gonna fly. Squash and merge. Here we go. First PR. Sent off into nothing land. All right, let's add the next task. What we're gonna do is what I do way too often. Is set up fucking circle CI so we can run CI and run the tests. Circle CI Elixir. We just click on the add. Cool. Copy. New branch. Add circle CI. Circle CI can run is free for I think one CPU or something. Dot circle CI and then config. Let's fucking yoink this. And then we need what Elixir version are we going to be running? We are running 1.10. Cool. Let's get rid of these ugly code comments. Yeah. Yep. Sure. Yep. Alright, what version of Postgres are we running? I think 1. Or 10, sorry. 10. Okay. Postgres 10.1? Sure, let's do it. What is our test DB? I actually don't know what our test DB is. Okay, there you go. I actually don't know if there's a password. Probably not. So we fetch all the dependencies, and then we compile them. Yeah, let's all get rid of all of these comments, man. They're so ugly. The code is pretty self-explanatory, I would say. Wait for the DB, then run test, mix test. That sounds good to me. Okay, let's add circle CI config. Boom. Let's see how it goes. I've probably first had to add circle CI. Can we do lint? Is there a linter as well? So I don't forget to. Login. GitHub. Sure. Why is it so slow? Holy shit. Hello? Not a fan of this song. It's pretty chill, but not feeling it. Okay, is Circle CI dead? Hello? Like how I paid for that too. I think my internet is just dead. I think it is. I like how my stream is still fine though. And I guess this is also still fine. Twitter is also still fine. Maybe their status page is also dead. Oh my god. Is anybody else having this? $26. Okay. Okay, that's interesting. I guess they're dead? Oh, their main website is up. Is it down or just me? CircleCI.com. Fine for you? Even the status page? Maybe it's my DNS. The main website is fine though. Has loads in its screen? What? Interesting. Can go to my 2.4 hertz one. Oh. Okay. I don't know. This is very awkward. Maybe I can add it through here. Oh, I can add it through here. Sure. Fuck. Why is it not loading? Wait. Oh, hold up. The first request is loaded. I'm having issues connected to CloudFront. Stop cache. It's not loading the CSS. Fuck. CloudFront, the CDN for me is not working. CloudFront CDN status. Can you believe that? Wait, is that Amazon? Is CloudFront Amazon? I can also not connect to this. Fuck. Because this is also hosted? No, this is on AWS static. Everything else is fucking downloaded. There's one fucking... Alright, can somebody check this status on AWS? No. I can't open that. Twitter. God damn it. When are we gaming? I still have to cook actually. So maybe around 9 or something. I'll just stop streaming in a bit. Why is this not working? CloudFront Won't load. Maybe I'm banned. Oh, the half the internet is not working. It's half the fucking internet is using CloudFront and AWS. God damn it. Is CloudFront... Wait. Oh, wait, it loaded. CDN? CloudFront? Server's operating normally. Fuck. God damn it. Everything is working fine. Look how many fucking things Amazon has, man. Jesus. Holy fuck. Can you imagine that? That's insane. Alright, this is weird. Whatever. Shit happens. Maybe if I do it incognito. Let me check if I can load it from here. From my main computer. Let us see, let us see. Maybe it's my DNS or something. Nope, anything served from CloudFront I cannot access on this network. Interesting. Wow, that's a first. That is a first. Not sure, we'll have to check. Maybe I can access it on my phone with my 4G. Let me check. Let me check. Circle CI. Oh, CloudFront IP directly. It's a good point. Will it show my IP if I do that? Maybe not on stream, huh? CloudFront IP. Can somebody send me one of the CloudFront IPs? Well, actually, it's hard to check, right? All right, let me try and in the meantime log into my. The thing is I'm on the European one, right? Okay, let me try that. Yeah, this is for NA, so let's try that anyways. Yeah, so for the NA one, I actually get results. Maybe it's the European one that I have problems with. But I'm logging into my phone now just to see if that works. Dun, 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 dun. I'm being redirected to Circle CI. It just works on my phone because It's using 4G. All right, so maybe I can add my own thing to it. That's too funny though. Use desktop site. So how do I add projects? Yep, X viewer games. Start building. Okay. Sounds like DNS on your router. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Okay. Let's just merge this. Fuck the world. And then now it is running. I can probably not check it though because oh, it's working. How's it working? Maybe it resolved itself. Or maybe this is not served from CloudFront. There's nothing CloudFront on the new one. CloudFront was the old one. Sweet. Dependencies compilation takes long once, but it's being cached. So the next circle say I call, and if this file doesn't change, then we should be good. So either change the checksum of the mixed log file. So if that doesn't change, then we're good. Dun, 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 dun. Couldn't find alias. Oh, look at that. Boom. Build cancelled. Well, this is always running together with this one. Okay, so we get 2 CPUs, man, for free. That's insane. I want to run lint as well. Is there a lint? Elixir lint? This tool has been deprecated with a new formatter. Oh, I can do a check. Elixir formatter CI. Integrated to CI. Hell yeah. Oh, fuck. So if I make... Wait, there is a big oof though. I saw like a warning. I saw like a warning on CI. Here. Here. Unused alias. This is the kind of shit. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. The formatter should clean this up. If this is not used, then why the fuck is it being exported, right? Also this. What do you mean it's never used? Literally used right here. Or do I have to do players dot? Maybe? No, I used this as well. What? I don't understand. Maybe create player is somewhere else? I really don't know. I'm really confused. Yeah, so that doesn't work. But why is it complaining? Because here it's complaining about helpers, and here it's complaining about not used. I just... whatever. So confused. Create helper 1 is unused. What do you mean it's unused? It's literally used in the same fucking file. I'm lost. I don't know. Ba, 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 da, 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 da. Oh, the default arguments in create player are never used. Yeah, true. Sure. That's fine. Yeah, let's add this to Circle CI. Circle CI. Dot Circle CI config. Oh, I haven't pulled yet. Before we even run a DB, we can just run. We can just do run. Okay. Oh, replaced with your name. Oops. Store test results. Is this used anywhere? No. But sure, we can, whatever. Replace with your app name. Sure. Add formatter to CI. Add formatter to CI, but we also did fix placeholder path. Cool, cool, cool. Some housekeeping work. Yeah, let's see how this runs. Let us see how this runs. It's booting up our boy this. And then it's gonna do dips, git compile, and then that was so fast. Sure, cool, that works for me. Title says it all. Cool, sick. Okay, well, let's call it a day. We've integrated Twitch into our app, which was already done pretty much, but we made sure that we now actually create players, which I think is important. We've thought out our like database architecture kind of for the most part, or at least the bigger picture. Yeah, I think the next step would be to add viewer games into the mix and have a UI to view a single player, or in this case broadcaster. And then have a queue, and then people join the queue. I think that will be the start. So the viewer games can still be gone, but at least we could have a queue per player. And then... yeah. I'm thinking in my head, because I'm like silent now, but I'm thinking in my head whether I made a misjudgment with the way I want to do my user management, but... because what I'm thinking is, what about users that stream on multiple platforms? Do you still just want to log in with something and then connect other accounts to it? Does it really matter where they stream? In theory, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, let's figure that out for later. As long as we get answers eventually down the line when people start using it. Anyways, thank you guys so much for stopping by. Hope you guys had an amazing time. I definitely learned a lot. If you want, or if you're watching this on YouTube right now, or you want to watch this later on YouTube, I'll be posting the video a couple days after the stream. If you guys want to check out my code in YouTube, it's right here. If you are watching this on YouTube, glad you stuck along. Let me know in the comments if there's any improvements that I could do, or if there is anything you would like to see or learn. Feel free to ask. I'll be reading them regardless of anything. Thank you guys, and I'll see you guys next time. I'll see you guys next time.